Tom, you're a food writer. Do you have an overall philosophy of food? I mean, are you a Descartes of food, or are you a Schopenhauer of food, or what?
Two sides of my philosophy of food. It makes it sound very serious, a philosophy of food. First of all, pleasure. Food is about pleasure. Food is about sitting down together with people, eating, sharing, enjoying each other's company, breaking bread together. That is the fundamental of food. But on the other side of food, food is history, food is culture, food is economics, food is art. You can go all the way through. We would not have economics, we would not have civilization, we would not have art without food. And not just that we have to eat to paint, but the fact that when we move from being hunter-gatherers into our sort of, you know, farmers and all the rest of it, that was food, and that where civilization comes, great art follows and the rest of it. So these people in Britain who say, oh, food, it's a lifestyle thing, is absolute rubbish. This is the most important thing.
But how about some of your British eccentrics who like to eat on their own? They don't want to break bread. They don't want to eat with their children. I mean, it's very famous for this sort of thing. I mean, are they missing out?
People who eat on their own, when I go and travel, you know, always travelling, and by myself, especially in Asia or Europe, if you eat by yourself, people think you're very, very strange. You know, the waiter stands, especially in Hong Kong or somewhere. I like eating by myself if I'm by myself, because I have a book, and I just sit and read and eat, and I like that. But Britain is losing a whole sense of family. When people sit spooning in ready meals, watching the television, not speaking to each other, not arguing. It doesn't matter if you're arguing or talking or laughing. You have to sit down and eat together. This is, and I don't want to come across like some ghastly Tory on this, but it is absolutely key that families eat together. It's really important.
Well, I don't think it's peculiar to the Brits. I think in Hong Kong you will find a lot of people sit and eat in front of the television. I think it's endemic around the world. Do you think television is actually killed off some of the enjoyment of food, or the act of eating?
I think you can blame television too easy and say, you know, television. Yes, the fact
because you're on television half the time.
No, I'm not on television at all. Nothing compared to any of my hugely esteemed fellow speakers and panel members. No way. To blame television is an easy way of saying it. Television is there. You can always turn it off. You have to blame society. You have to blame the parents for it who don't turn it off.
But I mean, there must be a market for it. Now, when you switch on a television, you always find either Gordon Ramsay chucking a knife across the kitchen, or Hester Blumenthal with a nuclear reactor, or umpteen other people having competitions and exotic places being visited, people cooking in the middle of the ocean and in the Sahara. I mean, are we taking the whole thing a bit too seriously now?
We're a nation of voyeurs. This is the problem.
Right.
We buy the books by the million. We watch Jamie, we watch Gordon, we watch Hester and Nigella eating our ready meals.
Nigella is very attractive.
Nigella's hugely attractive. She's lovely.
What do you mean hugely attractive?
I mean, she's very, very, very attractive. I mean, she's absolutely wonderful. But
voluptuous.
Voluptuous. And I didn't mean she's actually physically, I just meant she's very, very attractive. Heston's a lovely man. But people sit and watch television, but they don't cook. This is entertainment. This is my problem with British food, is that, food in Britain, is it's seen as an entertainment like DIY or you know, flower collecting, whatever.
So you think that there is something to be said encouraging people just to cook at home, not in a fancy way, in a famous way, because I know that you are all for that domestic practice of just cooking comfortable, good food, simple, straightforward and family-like. Is that what you're peddling?
I mean, good ingredients, well cooked. And again, this is going back to British food. You never see British restaurants anywhere else in the world apart from this country. Why? Well, we have an awful reputation, number one. Number two, good British food, as you well know, is that perfect wild salmon, caught just 2 days ago or the day before and served with a hollandaise sauce or whatever, whether it's potted shrimps. Our ingredients don't travel well. Unlike Chinese food that can be endlessly adapted, Japanese with the special ingredients, British food, apart from relics of empire in parts of Calcutta and this, they're appalling anyway. You know, you do
chicken masala is apparently the most popular dish in the whole of Britain.
It is, and that is an it's an English Indian dish, not an Anglo-English dish. In that the Indian chefs, like the Cantonese chefs, came over and thought, oh Christ, these people hate anything.
How about the French? I mean, they take very seriously their food. Are they a bit pompous for you?
The French, this is the thing about a strong food culture. You go to Paris and you want to eat well, you're going to eat well in Paris. There's Chez Georges, you can go to all the Ducasse. if you want to eat anything else apart from French food, forget it in Paris, because a strong food culture means you become incredibly myopic about other foods. Now, it's the same in Italy, it's the same in China, it's the same in Japan. They say, everyone says...
Except in Hong Kong, we've got lots of restaurants.
Hong Kong is different, though. Hong Kong is entirely different. It's a different...
This is not your first time, because I know that you've visited Hong Kong before. Are you looking forward to coming back to Hong Kong?
Hong Kong is arguably the greatest food city in the world. It's certainly the best Cantonese food in the world, and I say with New York and London now in terms of spread, but New York is great. I think London now is fascinating because
I don't think there's any good Chinese restaurant in New York at all. In fact, I don't think there's any good Chinese restaurant in the whole of America. But you're going to come with A.A. Gill, who is, of course, another food critic. He's very vocal. Do you think you're going to have arguments with him
with A.A. Gill? No.
On the forum and at the restaurant? I really want to see a fight going on.
I, number one, wouldn't dare take on Adrian. He's as verbally adept as he is with his pen. What Adrian does, and this is why I love him as a critic, is that everyone says about Adrian, oh, he just writes about himself for half the thing. He knows more about food than any other critic, with the exception of perhaps, I don't know, Faye Masher or something. He's worked in the kitchen. His brother was a chef. You know, he really, really knows his stuff. But occasionally, you know, I disagree when I'm reading or singing about his view of a restaurant, but he sees restaurants, he's done it for a long time. He is the great restaurant critic of Britain.
You're going to talk about writing about food. I mean, do you find that you have to adopt a different mode when you're writing about food than other things like a diary or perhaps a column about something that is nothing to do with food?
It's very, very easy to write about rubbish food. There are tons of words for disgusting filth. It's far more difficult to write about nice. What do you say? Tasty. I hate that word, tasty. Yes. There are certain words I'd never use. Foodie kills me. Moist.
Smells. I mean, food doesn't smell. I mean, we smell, right?
Yeah.
It's a common mistake.
And you can't, exactly.
It stinks. Certain food stinks.
Well, smelly tofu.
Smelly tofu. Do you like that?
Getting towards it. I remember when I was with you last time, was it in... I was with one of your
Hong Kong, yes.
And anyway, it was nice. You get used
to
it.
It's fast disappearing, but we'll try to give it to A.A. Gill anyway, or Dr. Starkey.
But it is. If you think Hong Kong, there's still a very, very strong food culture. China, there's a strong food culture. Britain, this is what makes London great, has lacked that. We lost everything between industrialisation and world wars and blah, 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 starting with the enclosures 300, 400 years back. Basically, we lost our connection with the land. We were the most industrialised country the most quickly, blah, 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 blah. What we're finding now in London is a new British food coming in. So it's Fergus Henderson, nose to tail eating, it's Mark Hicks. And suddenly you can hold your head up.
It's good. It's good news for Britain.
This is incredibly good news, because think of Britain. We're a temperate island with an Atlantic climate. This is perfect for dairy and for livestock and for arable. But
not so much vegetables, right? I mean, and fish. Why can't we get better fish?
Because we only eat cod and haddock, and it all goes off to Spain.
I know, but this is an island surrounded by water.
It's all there, but we spell it to the Spanish and French. It's there. Our English.
Well, how are you going to change it?
Well, we've got to actually start saying, eat more fish. Again, people talk about a food revolution in Britain. Bollocks. There's no food revolution in Britain. We have never been less healthy in our eating habits. Obesity like that. Type 2 diabetes.
There's a lot of problem about the junk food.
It's a middle-class movement at the moment, the food movement, and there's no revolution until it's obviously everybody. So it's all very well me banging on, but it's got to be everybody in the street arguing about it.
Well, the audience in Hong Kong will be much looking forward to seeing you and hearing about the revolution or the evolution of British food. And we're grateful that you're coming out, and I hope that it will be a very likely forum when you go on and talk about, as you do, with such passion about British food, which we all know is not very good and has not been very good and is not likely to be very good unless you are proved right.
Well, I would nice to leave on that sort of positive note there. I would disagree with you slightly on that. But, to be said, and also dinner at China Club, definitely.
Dinner at China Club. Thank you very much.
Thank you.